From football to baseball, we keep that talk hot.
Are we live right now? What is happening? Live Monday night. Fresh off of the New York Giants playing their first preseason game of the year. Gotta fix this so you don't see my man boobs here. My moobs. There we go. New York Football Giants playing their first preseason game of the year. We're just going to hit the live button here, going across a couple of different social media platforms. And we'll see what happens. So yeah, this episode will be for the Monday night. This is probably what's going to happen moving forward every single Monday night. Coming off of the New York Giants playing games on Saturdays and or Sunday, we're going to be following each week as it progresses, and we're going to be reviewing and reacting to each preseason game as they happen. So the New York Giants got to play their first preseason game under John Harbaugh. Thankfully, after all the waiting and the hoping and the wishing, it all came to fruition on Saturday, and the result of the game does not matter. So I know a lot of Giant fans want us to win as many games as possible. Trust me, I get it. We started 3-0 last preseason. Look what eventually wound up happening to us, ultimately becoming one of the worst teams in football last season, despite playing so many close games. So Giants played the first game under John Harbaugh. We waited so long since the Giants hired John Harbaugh in early February, right after the Super Bowl. The Giants hired John Harbaugh, and we waited and waited and waited. We had the draft. We had free agency. We had trades. We had everything. Now, training camp, we had every single scenario that you could possibly have for the New York Giants to be the New York Giant fan to be completely pumped up about this team moving forward. And we finally got to see it, right? We finally got to see it. We heard about all the training camps. We heard about every single scenario possible. Excuse me. And then Saturday's game for the Giant fan, I'm seeing it go one of two ways. One thing we have to do as Giant fans for now, and I'm not saying everybody has to do it. You could cheer how you want to cheer. One thing as Giants fans that we kind of have to do, and if you guys are just really quick, if you guys are following on Instagram, you could check me out live on YouTube right now. We are at YouTube. I have the link in my story if you want to check that out. Subscribe to all that. And if you're on YouTube, same thing. Go to Instagram and subscribe to the channel. We're doing some stuff coming up, a bunch of lives, a bunch of different things. Just a couple of people. Matt, what's going on, man? Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you stopping into the live. Let me get a couple of people. Connor Claw, Lucky Lefty, Luxurious Life of Lou in the chat. Everybody that's joined so far, thank you so much for popping in. I appreciate you guys. I'm going to get to some questions, trust me. But we waited now and waited and waited. And I want to get to the Jackson Dart tent stuff. I want to get to the Tyrone Tracy stuff. I want to get to the Giants bringing in Najee Harris today. I want to get to a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about and a lot of the stuff that New York Giant fans have been discussing since Saturday alone, right? We've been itching for football. So Steve in the chat, Chris, what's going on? Sin Ropa, what's going on in the chat? Let's go Mets. If you guys could also keep me posted on the score of the Met game, that would be tremendous because I can't do this right now. Steve, we're doing Giants right now, but if people want to jump in, let me know the score of the Met game. That'd be great because I can't really see it right now. Yeah, the first thing we'll get started with is the Jackson Dart and the tent stuff, right? The Jackson Dart and the tent stuff. It has to come to an end because Jackson Dart can't just be being placed in the tent every single time he takes a sack. And I get it. You want to be precautionary. You want to make sure all these young players are really, really taken care of. You want to make sure Jackson Dart, who does have one concussion from last year in the Chicago Bears game, you want to make sure that he doesn't get hurt again and has the concussion. He's been to the tent now 6 times, and he's been diagnosed once, and I get it. It doesn't mean that you don't get checked out. It doesn't mean that you don't want to be precautious with these players, but you have to get, you can't take this stuff away from the Giants. every single time. If Dart pops up after laying down on the ground, yes, he was just catching his breath. If Dart pops up and gives you no indication that he needs to go to the tent, he shouldn't go to the tent. Because there's going to come a game and there's going to come a time where Jackson Dart has to be pulled from a game. And now he's sitting in that tent for God knows how long. That's going to cost the Giants points. It's going to cost the Giants drives. It's going to take them out of their rhythm. And it just can't happen every single time Jackson Dart takes a sack. And it happened last year too. Even on plays where it had nothing to do with Jackson Dart getting hit in the head, still being thrown in the tent because he comes up holding his arm. He'll come up holding his ribs. He'll come up holding his shoulder. And they want to buzz down to throw him into the tent. That stuff just can't happen. That stuff can't happen. If they see hits to the head, if they see him coming off and he's looking a little woozy or a little groggy, send him to the tent. I completely get it. This hit on Saturday should not have sent him to the tent. And they're going to keep putting Jackson Dart in the tent after every time he takes a hit. It's going to cost the Giants points. It's going to cost the Giants dearly. And we only got away with it this week because Dart was able to come back into the game. And I give credit to John Harbaugh for – oh, hello. I give credit to John Harbaugh. Technical difficulties here. There we go. We're back like we never left. Back like we never left. I give credit to John Harbaugh for putting Jackson Dart back in the game because he was never hurt. And it was perfect that he put him back in the game because that's what the media would have ran with that. If Harbaugh didn't put Dart back in the game, the media would have had a field day with the Jackson Dart concussion discussions. The media would have had a field day with the Jackson Dart can't stay healthy discussions. They would have went wild. So he comes back in on 2nd and 12. He makes that great play, improvisational skill to the max with Jackson Dart. Love that about that kid. You cannot teach that kind of stuff. He comes back in, steps in on 2nd and 12, steps into the line, does the spin move, goes against the shoulder, throws it up to Malachi Fields. And there are people saying Jackson Dart just threw the ball up. No, he didn't just. You see your 6'4" receiver who's a contested catch machine against a 5'10" linebacker. He threw the ball to the highest point possible to only where Malachi Fields could make that catch or nobody else. And if Malachi Fields wasn't catching the football, it was going to bounce off and go out of the end zone. It was a pinpoint, perfect throw from Jackson Dart. Pinpoint. So that's just the Dart stuff. This is going to be a regular thing now with the NFL, and it's going to be very annoying to watch. So Dart's going to have to be more careful. Harbaugh's going to have to be careful. You got to be careful calling out the NFL because they'll be very quick to find them if they call out the officiating and if they call out the concussion protocol and the medical doctors in the NFL. They will fine the New York Giants as much as they possibly can. So at the end of the day, Dart, I don't know what he's supposed to do. I guess he's going to have to learn how to pop up and prove that he's healthy after he takes every sack, or else they're going to just throw him in the tent. So moving on to the offensive line, we're going to hit each one in a quick pace now because the bigger one was Jackson Dart. The offensive line played really well in terms of the run blocking. Francis Mauigoa, he just has to clean up a couple technical things on the line with footwork. When I look back and watched most of the time when Francis Mauigoa locks his hands on a defender, that guy's not moving. And in the run game, Mauigoa was an absolute animal. He opened up holes for Scadaboo, and we'll get to Scadaboo in 1 second. He opened up holes for Scadaboo and looked great. Luminor looked okay. We didn't have John Michael Schmitz, and we didn't have Andrew Thomas playing, so we didn't have the full arsenal at our hands. But the run offense is going to be a lot of fun to watch because you got Patrick Ricard back there. You have Cam Scadaboo back there. So Scadaboo looked healthy. The main thing from these preseason games, come out of the game healthy. I don't care if they win. I don't care if they lose. I know Harbaugh wants to win every game. I know the players probably want to win, and you got a lot of guys that want to win these games. It's you want to get that winning feeling going with the new culture that Harbaugh started. But the main thing as a fan to me is coming out of these games healthy. And the Giants did a pretty good job of that. We have a few guys that returned to practice today. Paulson Adebo, Andrew Phillips, John Michael Schmitz all came back to practice today. It's going to be great for the New York Giants as they head into Saturday's game against the Miami Dolphins. That's going to be a lot of fun to see the full arsenal of players. We didn't have DJ Reader, and I'm going to get to that in 2 seconds. I know I'm bouncing all over the place. Going to have DJ Reader. Didn't have Shelby Harris last week. A lot of people were panicking about the run defense. Got to calm down. We got to see everybody on the team take the field at once. So I'll hit the running backs really quick. Najee Harris was brought in for a visit today. I think he's coming off the torn Achilles, so he's got a lot. He still has to recover. But Najee Harris, you're looking at one of the best run blocking running backs in all of football. Very, very high IQ. Tough to bring down after the first hit. Always gets the yards after contact. The biggest problem with Najee Harris over his career, he doesn't have that explosive getaway speed, that burner type speed where if he hits the hole, he's not taking it 65 yards to the house and outrunning safeties and corners like a lot of running backs could do in this league now. Najee Harris is a guy who, when he gets you 1,000 yards in back-to-back seasons like he did with the Steelers, you're getting Najee Harris fighting for every one of those yards. But he's the type of guy, good pass catcher out of the backfield. Again, very high IQ, great run blocker. I could assume if all the medicals go well, I think Najee Harris will sign with the Giants. That's what I would predict right now, because I think Harbaugh's seen enough of him with the Steelers. Just played for his brother Jim Harbaugh with the Chargers. You got to assume that they're doing some dialogue back and forth there. I would assume he'll bring him in. Najee Harris was just with Greg Roman last year in that run game with Los Angeles. Greg Roman now the run coordinator for the New York Giants. It just seems like a lot of things fit for Najee Harris to come sign with the Giants. And the Tyrone Tracy missed assignment, I think, is being really overblown by a lot of Giant fans. Tyrone Tracy, in his time as a Giant, hasn't been the most consistent back as we drafted him in the 5th round a couple of years ago. Gets hurt time to time, doesn't play full seasons, doesn't play a lot of games, but he offers you a lot in that backfield as a second down, as a backup to the starting running back, which is going to be Cam Scatterbo. Tyrone Tracy has been a good blocker in his time with the New York Giants. He missed the assignment, which is obviously going to be blown up more because of how badly he missed the assignment. Najee Harris wasn't brought in because Tyrone Tracy missed the assignment. There was mutual interest in Najee Harris and the New York Giants. You could look back to a month ago. There's been mutual interest. Giants have been reportedly looking for a running back to add to this room on the waiver wire or via the trade. Joe Shane was not shy about saying that. Said it during the broadcast, and the Giants have been reporting it for a couple of weeks now. You heard the names James Conner. You've heard Najee Harris. You've heard other guys that might have fallen out of favor in their locations and their destinations. But I think Tracy is going to be just fine. John Harbaugh has been known to carry 4 running backs on his roster. Now, he's carried 4 running backs on his roster 3 out of the last 4 seasons, along with Patrick Ricard. So it's not like the Giants signing Najee Harris means Tyrone Tracy's going to get cut. It doesn't mean Devin Singletary is going to get cut. It doesn't mean anything else. All that mattered today was the Giants did waive Turbo Miller because he has a groin injury. Unfortunate for Turbo Miller because he was having a good offseason. He was having a good training camp. So unfortunately for him, he was waived. And if he's not claimed, he'll be back with the Giants rehabbing. So that's the story with that. The wide receiver room it's going to be exciting, man. The Giants don't have what you would call a lot of elite weapons at the wide receiver position aside from Malik Neighbors. When Malik Neighbors is on the field and fully healthy, he's a top 5 wide receiver, in my opinion. And from all the looks of it, it looks like he's going to be back. Not only maybe not this preseason game, but maybe a couple of reps in the Jet game just to get his feet wet. But it does look like he's going to be ready for week 1, which is great news for the Giants. What I saw from guys like Beckham, right? Beckham was a guy who a lot of people said was washed up, and I couldn't blame them. He didn't play a lot. He didn't play at all last year. He played 4 or 5 games with Miami, and then the year prior to that with John Harbaugh, he showed flashes of the old Beckham, taking a couple slants to the house, being able to get open. But what you saw with Odell Beckham Jr. was the ability still to get himself open now. He's showing that he can consistently get himself open. There was probably 3 or 4 when I rewatched, I saw 4 plays that the ball should have went to Odell Beckham coming out of his break, and they just didn't pull the trigger. They didn't pull the trigger. He was wide open on a seam pass he would have walked into the end zone. He might have moonwalked into the end zone, knowing Odell Beckham Jr. at that point. But Beckham could definitely still get open, and he could definitely contribute to a football team, and hopefully it's the New York Giants. You saw Malachi Fields, who I'm extremely high on and I'm extremely excited about. One of the better contested catch demons in the draft this year, and you saw just a small piece of that in the week 1 preseason game against the Vikings, as there's going to be times where Dart's in trouble and he has the scramble play coming out and Fields is just sitting in the back of the end zone one-on-one, and Dart will take his chances and he'll go to Malachi Fields. He'll do it. So that's what I love there. And then the tight end room, you see that Isaiah Likely is going to be a very popular target for Jackson Dart. Isaiah Likely is one of my sleeper fantasy football picks this year. If anybody's interested in fantasy football, I would definitely look at Isaiah Likely as a guy who's going to get a lot of targets. So yeah, that's the offensive side of the football. We'll get it. Special teams, I would have loved to have seen Dominic Zavada. I know that nobody asked Harbaugh after the game about it, because I was saying they should have asked him after the game, but somebody did ask him today or yesterday, and he did answer it. He said it was a little windy. He didn't want to put Dominic Zavada out there for the 62-yarder it would have been to try and tie the game. Listen, I get it. He goes out there, he misses that kick. Kickers are so fragile. You never know what's going to trigger them to either go on a hot streak or a complete cold streak. You see guys lose it all the time. Didn't need to see Zavada kick it. I wanted to see him kick it there, but I didn't need to see it, because Dominic Zavada has a big leg. He's had a great offseason and a great camp. The undrafted kicker out of Michigan for the New York Giants. Ben Sauls was kicking in the first half. He kicks the 46-yarder. And then the most positive thing, besides Braxton Berrios being able to catch balls in the backfield and actually give us decent returns for the first time we've seen in a long time, Jordan Stout is a weapon. It was one of John Harbaugh's first signings when he took the job as head coach for the Giants, was Isaiah Likely and Jordan Stout. Jordan Stout, the all-pro punter who played with John Harbaugh over there in Baltimore, 60-plus yard kicks on Saturday, through the wind, pinning guys inside the 10, not afraid to pin the ball inside the 10, which Jamie Gillen was just afraid to do. And I've been begging for that my entire life as a Giants fan. You go when you grow up and you're watching Jeff Fiegels and you're watching Steve Weatherford and you're watching all these great punters, and then we go on a stretch where we have nothing for 10 plus years. To get Jordan Stout on this team, it's going to be a breath of fresh air for the New York Giants. So I love that. Absolutely love that. So quickly, I want to get into the sponsor of the stream. If you guys are on Instagram, I appreciate every one of you guys. The sponsor of the stream on YouTube, if you guys want to click, I have the link in my bio. The sponsor of this stream is NBA Top Shot. If you guys are into collecting cards and if you guys are into collecting moments, NBA Top Shot is the way to go. It's the new digital form of collecting cards instead of collecting the physical copies, which I think you could still do even with the copies. Paulie, if you could let me know in the chat, I think you could still get these mailed to you if I'm not mistaken. But you have these moments where you want to open packs, you want to rip packs. I get it. It's fun. You could still rip packs on NBA Top Shot, digital currency on the marketplace, buying, selling. This is the future of collecting cards. So get with it, everybody. Collecting them. You can still collect them physically, but this is definitely the new wave of collecting cards. You see this moment here with Victor Wembanyama, the loser crybaby that he is. Knicks in 5. This was the draft. You could collect this as a moment, and then you see the currency here. So NBA Top Shot for supporting the stream and sponsoring the stream. Much appreciated there. On to the defensive side of the football, which we'll end the video with in about 10 minutes. The defensive side of the football, I mean, again, guys, you didn't have DJ Reader play. He's the guy that's going to be able to command double teams. He's the guy that's going to be able to help your run defense out a lot. He didn't play. Shelby Harris didn't play. Kayvon Thibodeau played a few plays. Abdul Carter played a drive. Brian Burns didn't play. Paulson Adebo didn't play. Javon Holland didn't play. You had a lot of guys who did not play in this game. I didn't see Tremaine Edmonds out there. He didn't play. So you're going to have a lot of people overreacting to stuff that's on film that guys weren't even on the field with. So you can't go too crazy with that. And I expect a lot of those guys. Drew Phillips didn't play, the Giants' best slot corner. I expect a lot of those guys to suit up on Saturday against Miami, and they'll be on the field, and we'll be able to get a little bit more of a look of what the Giants are actually going to look like. So want to touch on Arvell Reese quickly. Arvell Reese, at 20 years old, is already showing up on film as one of the more interesting, hyped up draft picks that the Giants have had in a very, very long time. What he did run on the run defensive side of the football at his age and his ability to go sideline to sideline with that speed, his ability to rush the passer, which I don't even think the Giants have unlocked yet. I think it's his best asset is actually rushing the passer. He's going to be like that Swiss Army knife type of linebacker for the New York Giants that they've been searching for years and years and years to have that guy on their team. 20 years old. He hit the hole on run defense and running back. The running back was just Aaron Jones came into the hole once and just stopped as soon as he hit Arvell Reese. You see the strength on special teams as well. There was a play where Arvell Reese lined up at the edge and he went on special teams, and the guy who was trying to block him on Minnesota couldn't get a hold of him, and Reese just eventually stiff-armed him to the ground. The type of strength, the type of speed, the type of tackler, the type of IQ Arvell Reese has, the burst, you see it. The play recognition is so good compared to a guy like Sonny Styles. When we were talking about his draft coming out in the pre-draft analysis, the biggest problem with Sonny Styles, and a lot of fans were falling in love with him, was Sonny Styles is going to have a problem with play recognition in the NFL. He had a major problem of play recognition at Ohio State, and to see him carry it over into the NFL, it's only going to get faster. It's only going to get harder. It's only going to get more difficult for Sonny Styles. So that's why I was kind of bullish on Sonny Styles during the draft. Arvell Reese offers you a lot more than that, and I think this kid's going to be tremendous for the New York Giants. Abdul Carter made a couple of nice plays. I love to see that. He made a nice tipped pass interception today during training camp. The cornerback position is going to be really interesting. That's kind of the one where we're going to have a lot of fun watching over the next couple of weeks. Who's going to win the position? I think it'll ultimately be Paulson Adebo and Greg Newsome as the two starters, two guys who didn't play in week one, so we can't go too crazy. I thought Deonte Banks played pretty well, besides the one illegal contact, which was kind of 50-50 in my opinion. The guys were just hand fighting the entire way, but Deonte Banks was able to stick to the receiver. I thought it was kind of ticky-tack, and, it's preseason for the officials as well. Didn't like that call on Deonte Banks, but I didn't think he played that bad. Colton Hood was a little up and down, made some really, really nice plays in pass defense. Again, sticking to his defender. You like to see that in the Denard Wilson scheme. These guys are going to be very aggressive. They're going to stick to their receivers, stick to the guy that they're sticking, no pun intended, and they're going to try and make the best play possible aggressively, which is why I like that. Safety, I saw Tyler Nubin was all around the field running sideline to sideline again. I like to see that from Tyler Nubin, who said he dropped a little weight and seems a little bit faster. This is kind of make or break for Tyler Nubin with the New York Giants. We didn't see Javon Holland out there. So, I mean, all in all, coming out of the game healthy is exactly what this team needed. Coming out of the game healthy, you see a lot of guys going down. I saw the news today about Jordan Tyson, one of the more talented receivers. In any other year, fully healthy, Jordan Tyson's wide receiver 1 in a lot of draft classes. That's the talent that Jordan Tyson is. And unfortunately, he goes down with the hamstring injury. That really sucks. But again, even though the hamstring injury was not related to the one in college, that's why teams were kind of iffy on drafting Jordan Tyson, especially high in the draft. You did not want to take the chance on him, who had the torn ACL. He had the hamstring problem in college. now another hamstring problem in the NFL, and he's going to miss the first 2 months of the year. So that could be a bullet dodged that the New York Giants didn't draft Jordan Tyson in this past year's draft. Let's get to a couple of questions in the chat. Thank you guys so much for joining. I really appreciate it. James says, "What's your predictions for this year?" I'm thinking 7-9 wins. Pessimistically, I'm gonna say I'll say 7 wins because you still want to see them on the field and performing. Optimistically, I think that they have a chance to definitely win 10 games. And if I'm just being a complete fanboy, which I sometimes I do, I think the Giants can win this division. I truly do. I think that there's a small chance. I think they're a better team than Washington. I truly do. I think Jaden Daniels is one of the more overrated quarterbacks in this league. And I know Jackson Dart has a lot to prove, but that has nothing to do with Jaden Daniels. I don't think that there's a lot around Jaden Daniels, which doesn't help him at all. I think there's too much noise around Jaden Daniels that has nothing to do with football, which doesn't help him at all. And I think the Washington roster is really, really taking a back seat from last year or the year prior to that, excuse me, when they went to the NFC Championship game. I think that Washington roster really took a hit this past offseason and last year as well when Jaden Daniels couldn't stay healthy. Dallas is going to have one of the premier offenses in football. They do pretty much every year. They're going to be scoring 28, 29, 30 points a game. Their problem will be on the defensive side. Does Caleb Downs fix that problem? I love Caleb Downs. He was my number one player in the class. I hated that he went to Dallas, but it is what it is. The Giants got hopefully 2 stalwarts at the offensive line and the linebacker position in Reese and Maui Noah. But I think Dallas, I don't trust Schottenheimer as the head coach. I don't trust Dak Prescott when it comes to winning big games. And at the end of the day, that's basically what it just comes down to for Dallas every single year. It's the same exact thing. They're going to win 8 to 11 games, have one of the better offenses in all of football. Can they stop anybody? Can the coach be good enough to win them those big games? Can Dak Prescott show up in a big game? And a lot of times he just hasn't. And at some point, when Prescott is making $55, $60+ million a year, it's going to hamper the Dallas Cowboys. And Philadelphia, losing A.J. Brown, I think is a huge, huge plus for the New York Giants. Losing A.J. Brown is going to make Jalen Hurts have to spread the ball around to places that he might not have been comfortable spreading the ball around to. Having A.J. Brown as a security blanket and one of the top 7 to 8 receivers in all of football is a huge loss for the Philadelphia Eagles. So again, I think that there is a small chance, if I'm being really optimistic, as a big-time homer and a fanboy, I think that there is a realistic shot the New York Giants can win the NFC East this year. I don't know why. It could just be the optimism. It could be that I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. It could be that maybe I'm just a little too excited for the season to start with finally having a really good head coach in this room. I truly think the Giants are in a good position to take over the division. I really do. And I hope I'm right. Drew, what's going on at YouTube? Yo, he says, yo. Yeah. So hopefully, I hope I'm right because I don't need football being over by October anymore. It was getting it was becoming really, really frustrating to watch. The Giants be 1-4, 1-5, 1-6 every year. I think the tide has changed. And it all starts week 1 against Dallas. You win week 1 against Dallas, season's on. Let's go. NFC East is on. We're here to stay. We're here to win. It's not the Giants from the last decade anymore. It's the new era New York Giants. So if you guys are ready for that, you have to follow Pudgy Boys Sports Talk. Pudgy Boys with a Z at the end of the boys. Pudgy Boys Sports Talk on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I'm on live right now. Facebook, we're on X or Twitter, whatever it is called. I don't know what it's called anymore, but follow me on there because it is going to be a fun season for the New York Giant fan. And we're gonna ride. We're gonna take this ride with the new Giants and the new era of Giant football and this new core of players, this new nucleus of players for the New York Giants. So, guys, if you guys tuned in, everybody on Instagram, everybody on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys. Till next Monday, 8:30, Collecting and Connecting live on YouTube. I'll be doing the Instagram every week as well. So thank you guys for watching.